What if everything you think you know about your personality is only part of the story? Are you truly introverted or extroverted? Or is there something deeper guiding your decisions, relationships, and how you see the world? In this video, we'll dive into the mind of Carl Jung, one of psychology's great pioneers, to uncover the true structure that defines who you are and what you might be overlooking about yourself. Everyone has a unique personality, yet we all share certain traits. To truly know ourselves, we must understand our true personality. Self-discovery helps us grasp the complexity of the human condition, improving our relationship with ourselves, others, and the world. In his 1921 book, Psychological Types, Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung introduced the well-known concepts of introversion and extroversion. His motivation came from wanting to understand why Freud's psychology differed so much from Adler's. He realized that Freud's focus on pleasure and Adler's on power stem from their own psychological traits. For Freud, objects, things and people are most important as they can either fulfill or hinder the subject's desire for pleasure. The subject remains insignificant, merely a source of anxiety. For Adler, objects are tools of suppression that the subject tries to overcome to gain a sense of worth and belonging. These differences arose because Freud was mostly extroverted, while Adler was introverted. Jung wrote that one person's life is shaped more by external objects, while another's is driven by their inner world. The key difference is that extroverts focus their interest outward, toward objects and external reality, while introverts turn inward, toward their inner reality. Introverts are reflective, hesitant, and cautious, often struggling to adapt to the outside world due to their shyness and distrust. Extroverts, on the other hand, are drawn to objects, fascinated by new and unknown situations, and tend to act before thinking. Introverts resemble Prometheus, foreseeing and anticipating, while extroverts are like Epimetheus, acting first and reflecting later. For extroverts, objects act like a magnet, pulling their attention outward to their surroundings, including people and things, which hold an almost endless fascination. The danger is that they can become so absorbed by objects that they lose themselves entirely. For example, a business person constantly focused on expanding their company may face mental or physical issues that force them to turn inward. A common neurosis for extroverts is hysteria, marked by excessive emotional behavior that seems out of control, often driven by a need to stand out. For introverts, the self is the center of interest, as if it were a magnetic pole drawing objects inward. However, calling introverts egocentric is misleading. Jung describes them as reserved, introspective, and shy, contrasting with the open, sociable, and outgoing nature of extroverts. These traits seem randomly distributed, even within families, where one child may be introverted and another extroverted. For Jung, personality type isn't a conscious choice, but stems from an unconscious, instinctive, and biological foundation. While one tendency dominates, no one is purely introverted or extroverted. The less developed trait remains latent, forming part of the shadow, the unconscious aspects of ourselves, including unrealized potential. Jung illustrates this with an example. Two friends find a mysterious cabin in a forest. The introvert hesitates, imagining dangers like traps or wild animals. The extrovert, excited by the prospect of discovery, rushes forward. Inside, they find dusty books and an old diary. The introvert becomes engrossed in reading, lost in the story, while the extrovert quickly grows bored, craving something more dynamic. Their roles reverse. The cautious introvert now can't leave, absorbed in exploration, while the bold extrovert feels trapped. This shows how their differences complement each other initially, but can later create tension. The introvert misses the extrovert's growing impatience, and the extrovert dismisses the introvert's excitement. The environment shapes their dynamic, revealing both strengths and weaknesses. Jung further distinguished personality by four basic psychological functions: thinking, feeling, sensation, and intuition. Sensation tells us something exists. Thinking identifies what it is. Feeling evaluates its worth, and intuition senses its possibilities. Thinking and feeling are rational functions, while sensation and intuition are irrational. Each function can be introverted or extroverted, creating 8 personality types. Thinking involves logical reasoning and problem solving, allowing for objective analysis. Feeling evaluates emotional states, prioritizing how something feels. A feeling type might take criticism personally, feeling their entire work is worthless, while a thinking type might remain unmoved by praise, processing emotions later in private. Feeling is distinct from emotion, which is involuntary and tied to physical reactions. Jung's concept of complexes, emotionally charged ideas or images, explains these reactions as the building blocks of the psyche. Sensation perceives immediate reality through the five senses, making sensory types grounded and realistic. Intuition, however, grasps patterns beyond the senses, leading to hunches about possibilities. An intuitive type learning the piano might focus on abstract ideas like music's emotional impact rather than technical practice. Combining these functions with introversion or extroversion creates 8 types: extroverted thinking, introverted thinking, extroverted feeling, introverted feeling, extroverted sensation, introverted sensation, extroverted intuition, and introverted intuition. Jung's model is a guide, not a rigid label. Our dominant function shapes our personality, reinforced by natural tendencies and environment. However, overemphasizing one function can lead to imbalance. The inferior function, buried in the unconscious, holds untapped potential but is hard to access. It's often projected onto others, especially in relationships, where we're drawn to our opposite type. This can create harmony initially, but conflict later if each tries to impose their perspective. The inferior function is autonomous, making us feel out of control or overly sensitive when triggered. Integrating it is key to growth, especially in the second half of life, after developing auxiliary functions that support the dominant one. For example, thinking pairs well with sensation or intuition, but not feeling as they conflict. Jung's typology isn't about boxing people into categories, but about understanding our psyche structure to navigate life authentically. Jung himself was likely a thinking type with strong intuition, less connected to sensation and struggling with feeling. He saw personality as evolving, not fixed. External events matter less than inner experiences, which shape our unique existence. As Jung said, until the unconscious is made conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. Knowing your type, introverted or extroverted, dominant function, in shadow, is a compass for self-discovery. It's not a label, but a starting point for living your truth. If this video helped you see yourself differently, like, subscribe, and share it with someone else seeking self-understanding. Thanks for being here, and until next time, keep exploring your inner world.